Among the nearly 5,000 cops, firemen, iron workers, and demolition crews that show up every day and every night at Ground Zero to search for some 4,000 people still buried in the rubble of what was the World Trade Center are an untold number of unpaid volunteers. They came from around the city and across the country right after the disaster. And 7 weeks later, they're still there, citizens of what is, in effect, a city within a city. Since day one, they lined up by the thousands, volunteering to help in any way they could. There was such a huge turnout that many were turned away.
But right now, there is no other volunteers near this site.
But some wouldn't take no for an answer, like the vice president of an investment bank who puts in a full day's work and then spends nearly all night organizing the relief effort. The computer programmer who left his job and his family in Florida and drove a truck to New York to deliver supplies to Ground Zero. A group of Texans who set up a 24-hour sidewalk barbecue stand to feed emergency personnel. The massage therapist who gave up her regular business to set up shop at Ground Zero, where she felt she was more needed than anywhere else. And a food caterer who left his paying job to volunteer in the rescue effort.
I had to get involved. Really, nothing else mattered. I called my job and basically told them that I had something that I had to do, and that would be involved in search and rescue.
His name is Sam Carl, and he was one of the first to pull bodies out of the wreckage.
I was usually on my stomach digging through the holes.
Because of his experience as a mountain rescuer in Colorado, Sam Carl was assigned to be a cave crawler. That's what they call someone who goes deep into the rubble trying to find signs of life in the smallest places.
Day in and day out, it's very difficult when you're not given that satisfaction of seeing somebody, climb out with you.
And day in and day out, for the past 59 days, Margie Edwards, the investment banker, goes right from her office in New Jersey to a command post about 15 blocks from Ground Zero.
This is easy.
What she is doing is making up a wish list of what workers say they need to do their job down at the site. So far, she has managed to get companies all over the country to donate nearly $1 million worth of goods to make sure this city within a city gets everything it needs.
That's one of the things that we have a shortage of is sweatshirts.
And it's getting colder.
Yeah.
And so on this chilly night, Margie Edwards and the team of women who work with her, all with full-time jobs in banking and marketing, have collected hundreds of sweatshirts for iron workers, who have no choice but to discard them each time they come off the pile because they are covered with dust and other particles that could spread disease. The women go in and out of Ground Zero up to 10 times a night, often until 2 in the morning, delivering whatever it is rescue workers need to do their jobs, like the ones working in the hot spots.
Steel-toed boots is one of the biggest things.
Steel-toed boots?
Steel-toed boots. Out still on the rubble, it's still, I believe, 1,100 degrees. The guys' boots just melt within a few hours, and they're burning their feet.
Right next to that burning pile of rubble is a sort of general store stocked with goggles, socks, gloves, drinks, snacks, and chocolate. Everything free for the taking. Hey, what do you need, man?
I just wanted to get some hand wipes.
Some what?
Hand wipes.
All right. So you got hand wipes too, huh?
We got everything you want. We got everything.
Thank God they're here.
And for people like this who are volunteering, what does that mean for the guys who are down here working?
I give them more credit than the guys that are up on the iron doing the actual work. How's that? Bottom line that you can say.
They're looking out for you.
Yeah, be out here volunteering, not getting paid. That's a lot of credit.
So you're doing a full-time job, and then this is another full-time job. How many hours a day do you put in?
16, 17 hours.
So you've been doing this for over a month now. How long can you continue?
As long as it takes.
As long as it takes. And this is pure volunteer. I mean, you're not being paid for any of this. Now, I can see the tears in your eyes.
Oh, jeez. It's very personal for me. My friend Todd is in there. When I come down here, I talk to him. I want him to know that I'm here with him, that he's not alone. And these girls have kept me going, as well as the police officers and everyone around.
To help keep the rescue workers going, both mentally and physically, Donna DeFalco put her massage business on hold right after the attack and brought a team of massage therapists down to Ground Zero, where they worked for nearly 60 hours straight.
But you never really thought about sleep because you saw these men they just didn't stop. They never stopped. And so you kind of felt like if they can do it, you should be doing this along with them.
Donna DeFalco's team has been going around the clock ever since. So far, they've given more than 1,000 back rubs to firefighters and iron workers as they come off the pile.
They couldn't move. They physically couldn't move. Their muscles were so tight. And if you gave them 20 minutes, 25 minutes, they got up and they said, oh my God, I feel so much better. I can go out and do more. And they would.
This is a city within a city. It's become that. And it's unbelievable to watch the connection and the way people have just pulled together.
Nancy has been working at Ground Zero every night since September 11th as a volunteer for the Salvation Army. During the day, she works in the financial district. Her responsibility here is to make sure rescue workers have enough to drink so they don't get dehydrated.
It's very different in here than when you go out on the outside, and a lot of the people here have expressed that it's difficult for them to take a day off, or do they feel guilty, or they want to continue to be here, and very difficult for them to get back to their life again. So this has become almost their home.
And for some, it's been a return home.
The Eagle has landed in New York.
Mike Orsa, that computer programmer from Florida who grew up in New York, has been living in the city for the past 8 weeks, using his flatbed truck to deliver supplies to Ground Zero for the Salvation Army. I mean, you sort of get used to people who will do a couple hours of volunteer work in their neighborhood or will write a check for an organization, but you've been up here for a month. Help me understand that.
It's been rewarding.
You're getting something in return for this.
Yeah, a great feeling of satisfaction. I feel my kids, as they get older and older, will, when this becomes part of history, say, hey, my dad helped, he did something, he made a little bit of a difference, and just to teach them that this is what you do.
The difference people are making is staggering. Since day one, private citizens and restaurants have given out more than 3 million meals.
You don't have to thank me, my friend.
Nino Vendome closed his restaurant to the general public on September 12th.
My home is your home.
Now, his restaurant just north of Ground Zero is open 24 hours, 7 days a week to emergency personnel. Everyone eats for free, and Nino says he plans to keep it that way for at least a year, with support from corporations and local merchants, as well as volunteers who help his staff, like these women who during the day are teachers' aides at an elementary school in Ozone Park, Queens, just outside Manhattan.
We want to give back. We want to give back for what they're doing for us.
Every day we see them on television, and they're working so hard, and they're doing so much, and this is all we could do for them.
What do you get out of this?
A high. Really, I feel so good that I'm doing this.
I was home, I'd be sleeping now, but now I just feel energetic.
I can't even sleep. I just want to keep on working.
How you doing, sir?
And along the sidewalk just across the street from Nino's is an all-day, all-night Texas barbecue stand run by a group of recovering drug addicts and alcoholics who drove up from Dallas in 5 trailers carrying huge loads of meat and wood for their 2 barbecue pits.
And I told a buddy of mine, Jimbo, I said, Jimbo, we got to go to Ground Zero.
So they drove around New York City until they happened upon a disaster relief center where they overheard a Red Cross official talking about a shortage of food.
And he was saying, well, we have 2,000 men to feed Sunday with a barbecue. How are we going to cook this? And I said, well, sir, I might be able to help you. I'm from Texas, and I got 2 smokers and 30,000 pounds of meat and 12 cords of wood. We're come to have a barbecue. He said, I need to talk to you. So we've been here ever since. They won't let us go. The city won't let us go.
How many people have you fed here?
Oh, actually, since we started, we've averaged about 4,000 people a day.
4,000 people a day?
Yes, sir.
They work in shifts, and some of them even sleep in the cab of the tractor trailer.
And there's no paychecks or anything in this?
No, absolutely not.
Well, yes, there is, too.
a chance to make amends for all the wrong that I've done in my life. It's a good thing. It's like God's giving me a chance to work with other people in a good way instead of a bad way.
And then, in that city within a city, there's a story unto itself about a squad of cops, members of the New York City Highway Patrol. Before September 11th, as they themselves will tell you, to anyone who went over the speed limit, they were the devils in the rearview mirror. Today, to the people down here, they're more like angels on motorcycles. Now, whenever they go to Ground Zero or leave, they are cheered by another group of volunteers who've been standing on street corners nearby for almost 24 hours a day since September 11th.
They're out here applauding us now.
They're applauding you?
It's incredible. There's crowds of people out there 3, 4, 5 o'clock in the morning cheering, waving flags, right?
And that is an inspiration.
That's like the best part of the day.
Yeah, they really give you a boost
Kind of like
when you see that.
Going home.
After 16, 17 hours being down here.
The reason for all this adulation is that these highway patrol officers have volunteered for one of the most wrenching jobs at Ground Zero. Whenever someone in uniform is pulled from the wreckage, a firefighter, law enforcement officer, or emergency worker, it is the job of these policemen to salute the body or body part and to provide a ceremonial escort to the city morgue for identification. They've been doing just that around the clock from day one.
We try to show up and represent our units, our friends, our peers, our co-workers as best as we can by giving them, that final ride. That when we turn over the remains to the morgue, it's been our privilege to serve that person and our honor to be able to provide them with
final dignity.
Thank you.
How difficult is it for you guys to go down there? I mean, you don't go down there once. You've been there over and over and over.
For me personally, it's been the hardest thing I've ever done. And you know what you're going down there for.
Sometimes we're doing it 14 times a day, 15 times a day.
It's almost like
back
a military
and forth.
scramble.
You come back and they say, we have another body. We're back doing the same thing, and everyone is just as important as the next one.
23 New York City police officers were among those killed. So far, the bodies of only 4 have been recovered.
That's got to wear on you guys.
Yes, it does. Sometimes I don't know how they hold up.
Captain Kevin Hickey, who's been on the New York City Police Force for 32 years, runs this highway patrol unit.
Do they come to you and talk about it?
Yes, they do. And like I explained to them, right now, you need to be a professional, okay? There are times when you can break down, but, it happens, and I've seen it. I've seen them right into the, into the 30th Street morgue with the tears coming down their face.
The officers say what gets them through is the kindness of the volunteers.
You got to understand something. Before them, there was no water, there was nothing to eat, there was not a smiling face around here. And these are people that put their lives on hold, put all of their personal needs aside for us.
The people here, if they've said thank you once, they've said it 1,000 times. I've never seen a people come together like has happened around here. It's been incredible. There's no more Southern hospitality in Texas than there is in New York tonight. I'm telling you, it's awesome. Even though this is a horrific tragedy, this is New York's finest hour, and I believe that.